My name is Mike Buehair, and I confess, I'm indeed a fascist collaborator. In fact, I'm a full-blown fascist. But before I get into my confession, I'd like to read this Facebook post I made on January 17th at 5:34 p.m. I'm going to be filming the right-wing authoritarian / alt-right Haley Adams and crew protesting, in quotes, because I believe they were there trolling, not protesting, outside an IWW headquarters in just a few minutes. Personally, this just seems like a clickbait excuse to bump heads with leftists in town. I don't really see how this serves much of a productive purpose, other than more clickbait / profiting off of conflict and bullshit. The reason why I called Haley Adams and crew authoritarian, as well as Joy Gibson and Patriot Prayer authoritarian, is simple. Most of their supporters are constantly waving that Blue Lives Matter flag, gang symbol that police like to wear on their clothes. If you ask me, fascism is authoritarian nationalism. Blindly supporting police and police militarization is the quintessential example of 21st century fascism. I'd like to add something. The Blue Lives Matter flag is nothing more than an expression of... It serves two purposes for policing culture. They're expressing their inherent systemic racism that permeates policing culture, because the popularization of that flag is a direct response to the Black Lives Matter movement. Also, the police are using the Blue Lives Matter flag as a propaganda engine for themselves. See, they're wrapping themselves in patriotism to cover up for all manner of heinous crimes against the people. Until America can wake up and start realizing that we have a problem with police violence in this country, and I don't mean people hurting cops, I mean it's the other way around. It's at epidemic proportions, and the disproportionate way that police are prosecuted to everyone else, we're going to descend into a nightmare police state even worse than what we have now. I'm sure there are those of you that are watching this video that are waiting for me to confess my love of fascism. Well, we're almost there, but I'd like to point out to the viewers that I made this Facebook post on January 17th at 5:34 p.m. But before I confess, I have to admit that I was called out on Twitter by these noble anti-fascists, these champions for all that's right and good and righteous, and that they're just there vigilantly protecting their community. So let's have a look at the Twitter post calling me out for being a fascist, and then I will humbly make my confession. So this Twitter post was made at 6:36 p.m. January 17th, 2019. Approximately an hour after my first intentions were announced on Facebook as to why I was going down there to film Patriot Prayer folks, Tiny and Haley Adams, going down there to troll the industrial workers of the world's meeting space where Democratic Socialists of America were meeting. So yeah, Mike Buehair is actively collaborating with fascists 1 hour later after my original Facebook post. Like, right fucking now, I mean. And then John says, how so? It doesn't get much more historically precise than fascists showing up to threaten and attack leftist union halls and autonomous spaces. Mike was out with Patriot Prayer and Proud Boy members doing exactly that last night. Look at the rest of the replies to this tweet. Also, that Dindu shit he's spewing out right now is pure Daily Stormer. For those of you watching this who don't know what Daily Stormer is, it's a website of neo-Nazi, racist scumbags where they express their intellectually deficient racist bullshit. Anywho, I could go on for hours about how I think that racism is a product of lower IQ, but we'll talk about that at some other point. So yeah, apparently I'm right out of Daily Stormer because I use the expression Dindu. And then late customer goes on to say, Richie West Ovi went over to the Fash side quite a while ago, but I thought maybe Buehair had a bit more sense despite being an unprincipled asshole. Guess not. Okay, well, I don't know about unprincipled. I have a rigid code of ethics that I try my best and utmost to adhere to with my own anarchist belief system, but that's neither here nor there. I do agree with you, late customer. I am an asshole. Okay, so Like customer, every PDX Cop Watch Chud is a piece of shit, racist, or fascist collaborator. It's almost confession time. But before I do, I'd like to share with the audience the exact sins I was committing when that tweet was being made. It's very important that I, open my heart up and beg forgiveness of the community for being a fascist and collaborating with Patriot Prayer and Haley Adams and all those alt-right people, because I want the community to allow me back into their good graces if I, make my act of contrition. So without further ado, I will play the conversation I had with Haley Adams and Patriot Prayer members out in front of the IWW Hall. So here goes that video. I don't like violence. I hate violence. Especially politically motivated violence. I think it's stupid.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. We should be able to talk out our problems, plain and simple.
But honestly, you want to know my biggest criticism of people on your side of the fence, Haley? And I'll be honest with you.
What?
Many of the supporters of Patriot Prayer like to wave those Blue Lives Matter flags.
I'm not Patriot Prayer.
I know that, but it's a lot of the same members. It's a lot of the same people. I see a lot of the same faces. Well, the thing is, right? To me, if you want to ask what fascism really is, it's authoritarian nationalism. And people on the right seem to always side with the police. Not always, but it's a trend. It's enough of a trend to make me think that they blindly support that. And that Blue Lives Matter flag, I think it's a gang symbol. Okay, the police are trying to wrap themselves, in patriotism to get away with all manner of heinous crimes against the people. And honestly, I'm sorry, that's their reaction to Black Lives Matter, is those Blue Lives Matter flags.
When it comes to the
Two sentences and then I'll shut up, okay?
Cool.
Two sentences, okay? So, it's statistically provable that people of color, black folks, are statistically put in jail, beaten up, and shot by police at a disproportionate rate to everyone else if you account for population. That is true. So, a lot of people associate that Blue Lives Matter flag with authoritarian nationalism, and extreme right-wing, basically racist people. Now, I can understand that, and that's my biggest problem. Okay, I give you the floor, Tiny. Please, say your thoughts.
This is where I stand with the cops and things.
Okay.
I don't believe all cops are good. I don't believe all cops are bad. I believe some of them are in there for a good reason.
Right.
But when there's cops that are plainly out there doing the wrong thing,
right,
I'll stand against that.
Right.
But I don't believe all of them are bad, because I do have family members that are law enforcement.
Sure.
And they try their best to do what is right, and they're even saying that there is bad cops out there, and that's what I stand against.
Well, until they start arresting them.
I do not follow cops blindly.
Sure.
I'm not going to say that I support all of them, even though if they do something bad, because I've seen it with myself. Like going out to the rallies and everything, it looks like they have taken advantage of my respect for law enforcement, and then even though I don't do anything wrong, they'll just arrest me just to make them look good on the media. Like, oh, see, we arrested somebody at the rally, but it's the same brown coconut that they arrest all the time. Just to make them look good. And that's why most of them, they've heard my opinion when they take me in. I'm like, don't take advantage of that, because I see it, and then that's where I stand.
Well,
not every cops are bad. Not every cops are good.
Over the years of me doing this, I've met plenty of cops, and some of them are nice people. I mean, I've met hundreds and hundreds of cops.
I've met some really respectful ones.
Well, here's the thing. Okay. Thank you for speaking with me. It's another subject I want to bring up. What comes to mind when I say this phrase, institutional racism? Institutional racism. When I say that phrase, what comes to mind? I just want to know what your thoughts are to that phrase. You don't have any? Okay, my thoughts on what institutional racism is that as cultures have evolved throughout history, in the United States, you have law enforcement culture, you have the culture of doctors, you have the culture of every profession, right? It started out, if you look at the first municipal police forces in America, they started out as professional hunters of black people. They were literal slave-catching organizations. So these institutions evolved very slowly. So what we have right now in the United States is institutional racism within our police forces. Maybe the cop as an individual is not wanting to be a racist, but he's implemented a racist policy because that institution evolves at a snail's pace throughout history. So we have that problem. We have racism in policing because of the institution, because of how it's evolved over the hundreds of years since we've had cops. And that's one of the reasons why liberals say that cops are racist. It's because of that
institutional ingrained racism. And that's what I mean by institutional racism.
That is really deep, but I can't speak on anything like that I don't understand. Because I've only been here, like, you know, like
I got it.
I've only been here for a few years.
It's something I've studied for years, and I'm just sharing my thoughts with you.
Yeah,
you know?
it's a different system, like in the island. Like our cops in the island is way different.
Okay.
You know, when I come here,
but I think it's interesting that you being brown, you're the one that gets arrested more often than not at Patriot Prayer stuff.
You're speaking on. I can do some research on it before
Please do.
I can give my take.
I'll send you some links.
That's awesome.
I'll send you some links to just read about it, and I'm not trying to talk over you. I'm just sharing information.
I think this still photo I took with my iPhone pretty much sums up the entirety of my confession. This is Mike Buehair signing off for Film the Police Portland, and thanks a lot to my viewers and supporters over the years. I couldn't be doing this without you guys, and yeah, see you guys next video.